Cool. All right. Please introduce yourself.
Sure.
Let us know where you're from.
Yeah, hi. My name is David Jenkins. I'm known as MC Davy Jay, and I'm from Jamaica, Queens. I was born in Harlem. My family moved to Brooklyn Red Hook Projects when I was 1 year old. So from 1 year old to 11 years old, we moved to Jamaica, Queens, into Rochdale Village, and Jamaica, Queens, and I still live in Jamaica, Queens today.
Now, as far as growing up in the area, what were some of the things you were doing? Did you play sports? Were you active? A lot of things. Were you listening to music at a young age? What was your activity like?
Oh man, my childhood was I had so much fun in my childhood. I think my first love. I had two first loves. One of my first loves was comic books. My second first love was baseball. I love baseball. We used to play baseball. My cousin used to come over, and we used to go outside. My friends that I grew up with in Rochdale, and we used to go play baseball. We played tag in the building, and I had so much fun playing games in the neighborhood, playing baseball, and then learning how to play basketball and things like that. So I mean, we stayed outside, even in the snow. We shovel off the basketball courts, played basketball. Was very active and having fun like that with sports and stuff.
Nice. What do you remember about getting involved in music and hearing a lot of music? Where did that inspiration come from?
Well, I always loved music. I was one of those kids that take a brush and stand in the mirror and act like Michael Jackson, because the Jackson 5 was a big deal when I was a kid. And I just loved Michael Jackson, man. He was like that guy, man. I was like, wow, man, a child star. And so I used to try to pretend and sing. I'm singing along with Michael Jackson songs. And back then, there was a lot of soul music. That's what it was called. And I just loved music. My mom, they and my aunts, they would have like house parties sometimes, and they'd be playing records and stuff like that. Al Green and the OJs and things like that, So I grew up loving music in my household, and but that moved to another level when I was about 13, 14 years old. I started spending the night over my cousin's house. So I would go over there, and they were playing music, and my love for music grew even more and more. And I'm referring to Phase 3 DJs back then.
Awesome. What were some of your favorite records growing up?
Oh man,
You talking about Michael Jackson. Some of your favorite artists.
I loved Michael Jackson. I loved all the I Want You Back and ABC. The OJs I mentioned. The Manhattans, the Commodores, and I cannot forget Earth, Wind and Fire. Earth, Wind and Fire. The music was so moving and inspirational, and I just loved it, man. I remember in Rochdale Village they had a record store, and I would take money, and I had allowance and stuff. I'd go buy a record and play the record, and a lot of times back then I played the record over and over and over and over again. I just spent my money on it, so I play it over and over. Just loved music, always loved music, and I've always loved to sing too. So.
Who were some of the first MCs that you had seen, that you knew?
Sure. Okay.
Let's start with some of the first.
Sure. Some of the first MCs that I knew about was I knew about the Funky 4+1 in the Bronx, and I remember hearing a Grandmaster Flash Furious 5 tape back in the 70s, and I remember hearing Melly Mel rap, and I was like, wow, this guy's really good. And I when I was 14, I started going to high school. I went to Brooklyn Tech High School, and I met a brother named Curtis Sherrod. At that time, he went by the name of Mexi Ray, and Mexi Ray, he was very influential. He helped inspire me. Well, I had received a charge from my cousins who had started Phase 3, and they told me, you better go learn how to talk on the mic. And it was just it was really spiritual, because in my home group in school, I met another MC, which was Curtis Sherrod, and he was affiliated with DJ Breakout and Baron in the Bronx. So he would play tapes for me from, I would hear different tapes. And so we would sit in homeroom class every day and write rhymes. So that's when I was really much inspired, because I knew I had to learn how to write rhymes so that I can be a part of Phase 3. So that was kind of how it started. So like the early MCs I knew, like I said, was Flash and Funky Four, and those were the only really ones I really knew back then. And Queens, in my opinion, we really didn't have many MCs. I later on found out about I later on met the Cypher of Sound MCs.
What was it that, was there a specific moment that really inspired you to want to start writing and being an MC?
I would hear the music, and there was one time where we were DJing, because let me say this, even though I wanted to do it, I was nervous to get on the mic for the first time. And I was inspired by just being at the parties, and there was girls that I liked, and I wanted to make sure that I could impress them. Here I am, I'm 14, 15. I think I was 15 by that time, and I wanted to influence them. And so I just dug up my courage and started rapping on the mic. Actually, the first time I did that was at IS-8, and we had a party at IS-8, and I remember being nervous, and I had some sunglasses, and I put the sunglasses on so that I really didn't see everyone, and then I took a chair and I stood on the chair so that everybody could see me, and that was the first time that I performed in a party setting. So
talk about how you wanted to be down in Phase 3. They said you need to step up your game, and then you did. And then what was it like where they were like, yeah?
Well, after the first time of rapping, and actually we didn't call it rap then, we called it rhyming. And so I would write my rhymes, and then I'd get on the mic, and then I started getting attention, and I was like, wow, this is great, And then when I realized, my cousin and they were telling me hey, Dave, you're doing great, and I think during the week or something, I saw little kids, because we back then we used to DJ in the park a lot, and I see little kids say, hey, that's Davy Jay, and I was like, wow, this is, it started becoming wow, this is kind of interesting. People know my name, I didn't even know them, and that continued on, and so that's when I knew this was something good. And back then, the little kids used to come and knock on my cousin's door, and they'd come and say, y'all gonna DJ, y'all gonna DJ. It would be a sunny day in the summer, and they said, y'all gonna bring out your sets. And I remember that as a kid, and so I knew that I was, was a part of something special. And I got a lot of encouragement from my cousin, who used to say, come on, man, we need you to rap, we need you to rap. So I had to do the best I could.
How did